Hi, my name is Riley Allen. This is my review of Chapter 2 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, titled Dobby's Warning. So, we start off this chapter where the last one left off, with Harry finding something sitting on his bed, and we find out that this being is also the same thing that was watching him through the hedges last chapter. This being is Dobby the House Elf. With tennis ball-sized eyes and bat-like ears, Dobby is a house elf, which is a slave species to wizard kind. Think we learn in this chapter, maybe not, but we do learn that the only way a house elf can be freed is by giving an article of clothing, which kind of makes it hilarious that house elves are doing everything. They're doing the cooking, the cleaning, except the laundry. Is there just parameters, when you give the clothes to, or do they actually do the laundry? There's just a whole ass contract they gotta state out, so there's no loopholes. Alright, sir. Alright, Dobby. I'm handing you the clothes. It's not to free you. No, but that doesn't work, because no, that wouldn't work either. I don't know. Guess they're just doing the laundry themselves. I guess they got a laundry spell, laundry-ish, do the laundry, flick, swish. The spell is blah, 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 whatever. And it's, the wrist movement is a swish and a flick. And you will have clean laundry. Mr. Finnegan, why is your laundry on fire? So Dobby apparently has heard great things about Harry, which is just how? How did he hear all these things about Harry? Spoiler alert, if we learn later in this book, but not in this chapter, that he belongs to the Malfoys. In no way, shape, or form are the Malfoys talking Harry up. Unless he heard Draco shit-talking Harry the entire summer and was like, well, Master Draco is a piece of shit, so anyone he hates has gotta be great. And he really hates this Harry Potter, sir. Or, I don't know. Did Dobby maybe meet Voldemort during the First Wizarding War? If he's been serving, the Malfoys at least 11 years, or 12 years, maybe more. He's got to be served longer than that. Maybe he's met him. Later, in the Second Wizarding War, Voldemort's holed up in Malfoy Manor. I don't think he'd have done it in the First Wizarding War, but he might have. He might have at least visited it to make sure the Malfoys, were being good, loyal little followers. Anyway, he's come to give Harry the warning. He cannot go to Hogwarts because it's grave danger for everybody. So, Dobby's just fuck the other kids. I gotta save my man Harry. Okay? Those other kids do not matter. We gotta save my bro. So, and he tells Harry that it has nothing to do with he who must not be named. And Harry's just he hasn't got a brother, does he? So, all this noise, Harry's trying to be polite. Do you want to sit on the bed? Would you have a seat, Dobby? Dobby burst into tears, because nobody's ever asked him to take a seat. Has this man just been working until he collapses, and then Malfoy, comes in, kicks him? Dobby, get up. I'm hungry. Make me a sandwich. And then it's another thing. Harry proves that he is a good person at heart, because his first thing upon hearing, about the slaver is there anything I can do to help you? And of course that sets Dobby into tears, because the great Harry Potter wants to help him, a lowly house elf. This kind of confirms, his what he's heard about Harry and his greatness. If Harry's willing to help something that most people look down upon, then of course, he's got to be great. Then Vernon hears all this noise and comes up and he tells Harry that you ruined my punchline to my Japanese golfer joke, boy. Which might have been a blessing in disguise. I don't know how funny a Japanese golfer joke could be. But Harry tells Dobby that he is going to Hogwarts and there's nothing he can do to stop him. So he goes outside the room into the kitchen, hovers like this cake or whatever above the Mason's head and drops it. Uh-oh. Now we learn, they didn't see the magic that was happening. Nobody saw it. Until this owl burst through the window, making a ruckus, dropping the letter, and we find out it's Harry's, warning for using underage magic, the suspension, the hover charm or whatever. Side note, nobody saw that magic, but they sure did see the flying owl. That did more damage to the statute of secrecy than anything. I feel like this, I don't know, man. That doesn't make no sense. Like, there wasn't a check or anything. Like, I feel like there should be protocol. All right, underage magic, we got to go in there. We got to check it, we got to check. We don't know for sure. We got to make sure, though. And honestly, sending a random owl, they believe it's a muggle neighborhood. They're sending a warning for underage, magic or whatever, and it's a muggle neighborhood. So why are they sending an owl? Makes no sense. I don't know. Anyway, this is the best news Vernon's ever heard. He's like, oh, you've forgotten to tell us that you can't use magic. It must have just slipped your mind. If this was like some animated gag, he would be saying it with a grin that just reaches his ears, an evil grin that reaches his ears with like comical devil horns, appearing above his head, because that's exactly how I pictured Vernon saying this. He then proceeds to lock bars on Harry's door, or his windows, and install a cat flap on his door to shovel food 3 times a day in. I think it said he was let out once every morning and afternoon to use the bathroom and whatnot. But and considering, his supper was a tin can of soup. And I'm not thinking it's one of those good big cans. It's like a real small can that's not really filling. And mind you, he's got to split this with Hedwig. Because my man's not going to let his girl, starve. So, of course, he dumps out half of it for Hedwig so she can, eat. Which, of course, makes him... He's doing this. He's eating... He's splitting half of what I assume is already small portions because the Dursleys fucking suck. He's probably starving. He's mentioned it. He's, got the ache of hunger, which shouldn't, be like that big of an ache if he's getting fed 3 meals a day. They probably only feed him 3 meals a day, even if it's little as it is, to say, oh, but we feed the boy. We're such a good people. It ends with Ron Weasley looking out the window, which is funny as hell, because this is the second story of the house. My man's really good at that Wingardium Leviosa. He didn't take that L laying down last year. It's not Wingardium Leviosa. It's not Leviosa. It's not. What is it? It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa. It's whatever the hell that is. Or is it? It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa. I don't know. It's still one of the funniest things, though. And that's how the chapter ends. Honestly, I really loved it because it kind of... Also, I forgot to mention, Harry wasn't getting letters from his friends, and we find out that it was, Dobby blocking it, and one of the things that he noticed was the distinct scratch of Hagrid, which means Hagrid was writing to Harry. I like that. I love that. You know, Hagrid isn't exactly the greatest person, the greatest character. I kind of lost a lot of love for that character in the first book because, you know, the way he bungled everything up, basically. But, you know, the fact that he took the time out of his day to write what I'm assuming is at least a nice little letter to someone who he knows is not living in the greatest of circumstances does say that at the end of the day, Hagrid is a man with a good heart. Just not a very good much sense. So that's a good little thing. Overall, it also, you know, Harry justifiably got angry at this, you know, which I did understandable because, you know, he had him doubting Dobby had Harry doubting his friends, you know. Overall, I think this chapter showed Harry's, you know, I guess kind of humanity in a sense. You know, he was humanizing Dobby and like telling him to sit down, being him nice, asking if there was anything he could do. Like his first instinct upon seeing something that kind of has broken into his room is kindness. Of course, you know, the kindness did justifiably go out the room when he found out he was stealing his letters and, you know, tried to screw him over, but, you know, that's that. You know, the Dursleys continue to be pieces of shit. God. It ain't a book without the Dursleys being shits. I'm going to give this chapter a good 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And that, you know, final line of Ron Weasley looking inside the window. What the hell? You know, that's a good little hook to flip the page. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next video.